Okay, so thinking about malfunction today. And when we're talking about malfunction, we're talking about how something doesn't necessarily function how it's meant to. Okay, so if you look at the function part of it, okay, so function, if you think about what function means, that's when something is doing a job or doing what it needs to do. Malfunction, the mal in front of it means that it's not doing what it's meant to be doing. Okay, so what is function? It means that something is, or that it does something, or that it has a purpose. Okay, so we're thinking about this in terms of our food item. So what's the purpose of your food item? So an example of this, what's the function of the spoon? What do we use it for? You might use a spoon for eating something, you might use a spoon for holding liquids, you might use a spoon for scooping something out of something else. Okay, use it to hold liquids, solids, transfer them to our mouths. But if the spoon had holes in it, what would happen to the contents? Okay, so if we're thinking about a liquid or a solid, that spoon had holes in it, what would happen? That liquid would probably drip through the holes and wouldn't be doing its job. Okay, so the spoon wouldn't be holding the liquid or the solid. It wouldn't be holding it to transfer it to our mouth, that it'd all fall through those holes. The fact that it wouldn't be doing its job is malfunction. Okay, so the reason that spoons are solid, that don't have holes in it, because they are carrying something or transferring something to your mouth or to something else. Okay, so malfunction in a technology sense, okay, it's when something doesn't carry out its proper function successfully, and that's described as malfunction. And we're thinking about this in terms of our food items. So you've got to get your heads around the fact that we are just focusing on our food. So thinking about the food that you're looking at or that you've been researching, it's been around for a long time and it's probably changed over time. You would have seen that from your tradition slides. The way that it was prepared and cooked and the ingredients that were used may not be appropriate in today's society. So what ways have the preparation methods of your food item changed? What ways have the cooking method of your food item changed and the ingredients of your food item changed? And we looked at this in our previous slides with traditions. But in terms of malfunction, we're thinking about how or why it's changed based on something not working. Okay, so for a lot of our food items, it might be the cooking method, okay, and how that wasn't successful. It might be the type of ingredients that we used and why we can't use them now. Or it might be something in terms of your the safety of the food item or safety for us to eat it. Okay, so looking at this example here, it must have been really hard back when they had wood-fired ovens and no refrigeration. There must have been times when they really struggled to get the oven or the cooking surface or the cooking utensils to the right temperature to cook pies evenly. It must have also been really hard without fridges to keep meat and dairy products fresh. So food items might make you sick with the lack of refrigeration. Okay, so we have fridges now. Fridges keep our food out of the danger zone below 4 degrees. But if those foods were kept in the danger zone for too long, okay, it's going to grow bacteria and that could make it unsafe for us to eat. Okay, the purpose of a part of a product may have changed. So like the pie crust, which is just a way for the person eating it to hold the fillings when their hands were dirty. Or some ingredients may now be unethical to use. So a different example, possibly making something like biltong or dried meat, could have been made from animals that are endangered now. So that would be unethical now to do. So thinking about the health risks that people may have faced and why those traditional products are not suitable today. Okay, bear with me. Often older ingredients were used in pies as a way to disguise the rotting smell and taste, and we looked at that back in the tradition slides. Before fridges were invented, meat would not have lasted as long and would have decayed faster because it would have been sitting in the danger zone, 4 to 60 degrees. Food poisoning could have been a real issue. In addition to this, the pie crust was often just a way for the person eating it to hold the filling when their hands were dirty. People today would not like the idea of eating rotten meat, even if it was masked in a pie. Hygiene is important, and so is the use of fresh ingredients. Food poisoning can be very harmful, especially to the very young and very old, and in worst case scenarios, people can die from it. So that is a wee example. Now this explanation that I've got here would be the one that I could transfer across to my malfunction slide. Okay, and in that malfunction slide, also thinking about some pictures that go with it. Okay, with malfunction, you can talk about things like your ovens, or like your lack of refrigeration. Okay, you could talk about ways that like cooking methods may have caused things to burn. Okay, if it's over an open flame, you can't control that temperature. You can talk about hygiene, you can talk about the danger zone, okay, all sorts of things that you can actually talk about that would mean that your product wasn't functioning in the way that it should. Thank you.